Okay. So, you have seen that we have been talking about that how to capture knowledge using certain methods. In the process, the first method that we are discussing is about the interviews, and we have seen that how interviews with the experts can help the knowledge developer to elicit quality information. Now, there are certain problems that could be associated with interviews, and as a knowledge developer you make sure that these problems are encountered well, so that you are going to get quality information which could be used, right. So, these are some of the problems that could be encountered when you are going to conduct the interview with the experts, and these include response biases. Make sure that he is not going to create any kind of biases when it comes to response. It means suppose you are going to ask a question, so the rating is neither very high on all questions or not very low, or sometimes the response biases could be that they try to respond in the middle way. So, that it creates a kind of situation where the responses are going to be biased. Another important issue is consistency. Consistency is need to be maintained. Okay. It means for say particular thing, a particular question, he says yes, but related to similar questions he says no. It means that he is not consistent in his responses. So, you need to make sure that consistency is maintained, because if consistency is maintained, then you get reliable information. And also make sure that there is no communication difficulties, means that he is able to understand what you are asking, and accordingly he is able to answer your questions. Okay. And do not develop or adopt a hostile attitude. Do not be hostile. It means suppose you are not able to gather information. So, do not get frustrated or irritated in the process. Okay. Maintain peace, okay, and patience. It is very important, because if you are going to have a hostile attitude, probably the experts will be very defensive, and he may not come out with the kind of knowledge that he has. Okay. So, it is very important to adopt a very positive attitude, which basically helps the expert and encourages him to come out with more and more information. Okay. Then you ask standard questions. Do not ask those questions, uncharted questions, which cannot be answered. Okay. And standard means that it maintains certain norms. Okay. It is valid in the sense it is related to the area, and make sure that the kind of information that is coming out is very reliable. Okay. Similarly, you should also make sure that do not ask lengthy questions. If you are going to ask very lengthy questions, probably you will not be able to answer that. So, it is always good to break the questions into different parts. So, instead of asking one lengthy question, what you can do, you can break into 3-4 questions, okay, and that would help you to elicit better information. Okay. And do not conduct longer interviews, because if you are going to conduct longer interviews, then what happens in the process, the person loses interest. So, it is always better to keep it as short as possible, and ideally it could be in between 30 to 40 minutes, so that the person is able to maintain his momentum and is motivated and encouraged to respond. If you linger around and keep it for longer period, probably the person may not be motivated enough to answer it. Okay. So, there are a lot of issues that need to be looked into when it comes to capturing knowledge by the knowledge developer from the experts. Okay. It means that you should be able to understand what the the experts are saying. Okay. It means you should be able to understand what he is saying. It means what they mean, you understand that. So, there should not be any kind of communication problem. Okay. Suppose experts say, look, I work with shades of gray reasoning. Gray reasoning means that there is nothing concrete in black and white. Then it is very difficult for you to get any kind of information. So, there are a lot of gray areas where it is very difficult to get concrete explicit information. Okay. Then what happens? It would be very difficult for the knowledge developer to get the information. So, this is one problem that is encountered by the knowledge developer, because he might say yes, it may happen or it may not happen. Okay. Yeah, this may provide solution or this may not provide solution. So, there is no concrete answers. Okay. So, in that case you have a problem, and he says okay, this is how it can be or it cannot be, and then he says that okay, I think that is only thing that I can say, I do not ask me anything else beyond that. Okay. So, these are some of the issues that need to be handled by the knowledge developer. Another issue is that when you have some general idea about the problem, but you are not very specific, okay, what needs to be asked, okay, then probably you will not be able to get good quality information from the experts. So, try to identify the problem domain, that is very important, and then identify the kind of things that you are going to ask from the experts to elicit information. Okay. And it is very important that your relationship with the expert as a knowledge developer is very compatible. Okay. If it is not amicable and compatible, probably you will not be able to get information from him. And that is why, if you remember, we talked about building relationship with the expert. So, you need to create a very good impression, you should be able to communicate well, you should be able to understand the experts, and then probably you will be able to establish rapport, very good rapport to get the information. Okay. But if he does not like you, probably you will not be able to do anything, probably he will not give you the information. So, it is very important to create the right kind of impression with good interpersonal relationship if you really want to have information from the expert. Now, apart from interviews, there are different methods that could be used in order to collect information, like on-site observation. If you look at interview as a process for eliciting information from the expert, it is not always possible to capture all kind of information through the interview process. Okay. And that is where you need to look at other tools and techniques for capturing information. So, on-site observation is one where you actually go to the field where the person is working, and then you go for recording and see that how the person is doing the job. Okay. So, that is more listening than talking. Instead of asking questions, you see what he is doing, and then accordingly you see that what is being done and how it is being done, and then you go for recording or capturing the process. Right. It is a very good method for capturing those kind of information which is very difficult to explain by the expert, or expert is not in a position to explain that, and that is where it could be very good. Okay. And that is where we go for on-site information. Brainstorming, I have already talked about it, but again I am going to discuss this because brainstorming helps you to generate new ideas about a particular problem. Okay. So, in the process you try to collect or brainstorm and try to come out with as many ideas as possible which could be useful for solving a problem. Okay. So, frequency emphasis on frequency of responses to start with, okay, not on evaluation. So, first stage is idea generation, and then it is followed by idea evaluation. Once through the brainstorming process all the ideas are generated, then you move to the evaluation stage where you are going to evaluate each and every idea, and then try to build a consensus. Okay, these are the ideas which can be worked. Okay. Nowadays, you can go for a computer-aided approach to dealing with multiple experts. So, since multiple experts are there, so use a platform, okay, where people are going to be connected electronically, and then they come out with as much ideas as possible, and then you can work with multiple experts, okay, and see that how many ideas come out and how it can be used to solve the problem. Another method apart from this brainstorming is protocol analysis. That is nothing else but what you call cases or scenario analysis. Okay. So, here you have experts, basically again here I am talking about multiple experts. So, these multiple experts talk about the problem, okay, and what will happen if this is the case or this is the scenario. Okay. Right. Say for example, very recently the government has decided to demonetize 500 and 1000 rupees notes. Okay. What could be the advantage of or disadvantage it for the economy? That could be a basis of discussion, and whether it is good or not, whether we should continue with this or not. Suppose there is a discussion. Okay. Now, you can create future scenarios. Okay. Scenario 1 where experts keep on talking that okay, how this decision is going to solve the problem. There is another experts who say okay, this decision is not going to solve a problem, because it is going to generate a host of other problems. Okay. So, basically you look into the mind of experts and see the processes through which they have generated these solutions, and then for different scenarios, suppose you say that okay, this is how it is going to help the economy, and the other person say that okay, this is how it is going to affect the people, okay, this is how it is going to affect the environment. Okay. So, experts, those who are going through different processes to try to understand the impact of this demonetization process on people, processes, technology, environment, politics, economy, they come out with different things. And suppose you have gone for demonetization today, and tomorrow there is a change in the government, the scenario has changed, then what will happen? Okay. So, you go for some kind of scenario analysis and you provide wealth of information and then you come out with this idea that okay, this is what is likely to happen in different cases or different scenarios. Okay. And then you follow a particular protocol. Protocol means one by one you go to ahead, okay, this monetization, this is the result of the monetization, how it is happening, what would be the different outcomes. So, you create a flow chart, what you call protocol of events, recording of events, okay, through which a particular scenario is going to be built up, okay, and that is what is known as protocol analysis. Okay. Another important method that is used is known as consensus decision making. Consensus decision making means that where people have a consensus on how to solve a problem, okay, right. It basically followed by the brainstorming, because as a brainstorming you come out with certain ideas which could be good, which could be used for solving a problem. Say for example, a R&D wing of a company is asked by its top management to come out with a new product. Okay. So, for example, FMCG wants to introduce a good toothpaste in the market, okay, which is going to be healthy, which is going to be healthy for the health, for the tooth, okay, which is liked by the people, the perception is good. Okay. So, they have given a rough idea, okay, that okay, you have to come out with a new toothpaste in the market, which is going to compete with other existing toothpaste in the market, right. So, you call the experts and then they go through the brainstorming, and you have generated enough idea, okay, that the toothpaste in terms of content, in the process, the marketing, the kind of strategy that you are going to adopt is this one. Now, once you have decided, and then you evaluate each and every process related to its content, what it should contain, what could be the features of the toothpaste, how to market it, what would be the strategy, okay, and other things, you decide, okay, this is what we need to do. So, you try to adopt a based on the consensus, okay, this is how we can go about it. So, say for example, about the content of the toothpaste, what should it include, whether it is going to be herbal based, whether it is going to be chemical based, whether it will have salt, or whether it is going to have something else, and why. So, you have a discussion. So, you arrive at a process which is very standardized, okay, so that you are able to build a consensus on what this new toothpaste would look like. Okay. Though it is a bit tedious and take longer time, it is always good, because here you are going to pool the knowledge of multiple experts, and if they arrive at a consensus, it is always good. Okay. Then repertory grids. Repertory grid is again basically that is where the experts is going to define the problem depending upon the kind of knowledge or the kind of theoretical framework or the kind of experience and learning that they have. Okay. The idea of using a grid to capture the experts model. Okay. For example, for a similar problem, two experts come out with different kind of problems, solutions, right. And the solution is based upon how the person is reasoned out, means that how the person has cognitively processed the information and come out with a solution. Okay. So, grid is nothing else, is the representation of the expert's way of looking at a particular problem. Okay. Say for example, you have a problem of retention in the organization. Okay. People are leaving the organization. Now, suppose this is the problem and you want the expert's opinion that, so how to retain people in the organization. So, different people come out with different kind of solutions, right. Now, this solution is based upon their experiences, their learning. So, a recruitment manager will have a different kind of perspective, a line manager is going to have a different kind of expert, right. So, representation of the experts, the line manager is also expert because he is working, he is the boss. Recruitment manager has gone through the process of the recruitment. So, he is the expert in the recruitment, right. So, suppose these two people are going to look at this particular problem of retention. Okay. So, you are going to create a grid, that is what is known as a bipolar construct, on which elements are placed with their gradations. Okay. So, it starts with whether you are a novice in the field or an expert. Okay. Then you also have different kind of experts in the field. Okay. And then you have, say for example, another example I can take apart from novice and expert, satisfied or dissatisfied. Okay. So, you suppose you ask how good or effective the recruitment policy is. So, based on his experience, the recruitment manager will say that yes, he is satisfied, he has evaluated the recruitment process and satisfied, but the line manager, since he is facing the actual problem, may not be satisfied. He can say no, so since people are leaving, so he is not able to make use of them. Okay. So, he may not be satisfied. So, basically on this bipolar construct you are going to see that how the extent to which the person is going to his perspective to put things at the place, and then you try to sum it up and see that whether you are able to derive at a solution or not. Okay. The benefit is that okay, people can think more seriously about the problem, different kind of perspectives come in, but the drawback is if you have large grids which is accompanied by complex details, then it is very difficult to accommodate and assimilate them. For example, if you have 7, 8 experts, okay, and they are giving different kind of things, then how to accommodate and assimilate them into a single process, that becomes a very difficult job, right. So, and it becomes very unmanageable actually. Okay. Then you have nominal group techniques. See, when I am talking about nominal group technique, is basically a process of decision making. Okay. So, nominal group, what happens? You try to arrive a consensus. Okay. So, it basically provides you an interface between consensus and brainstorming, right. What do you mean by nominal? Nominal group means that you are going to put them into a particular category. Okay. You nominate them. Okay. For example, whether this problem is related to this domain or that domain. Okay. So, you are going to classify them or categorize them. Okay. So, that it is very, very structured. Okay. So, accordingly you can find out who is going to be the expert, who is going to solve this problem. Okay. It is again an idea writing or idea generation scheme, where the group is going to identify or classify problems into different categories, okay, and then accordingly you can find out who is going to do what, right. Basically, when you have multiple expert knowledge capture, okay, you can minimize differences because you are going to classify them. So, each expert is going to work in one area. Okay. So, each expert has equal chance to express ideas in parallel with other experts in the group. So, each one is going to talk about what he is going to say. Okay. So, it is an efficient technique, but it is not as good as brainstorming. Now, another decision making technique is known as Delphi. Okay. Delphi is basically a very important technique. It is a very qualitative technique where you have a subject matter experts, okay, and they have a brainstorming session, you can say, on a particular problem. Okay. And then in Delphi techniques, what actually happens, that you brainstorm on a particular issue, okay, and the first session goes on. After that, what happens? The result of the first session is distributed again among the experts, then they again discuss it unless they arrive at a decision. So, it is a multi-stage process, and each stage whatever the results of the group is distributed to all the members, and then the members go through the results of the group, and then they look at whatever their opinion, and then they see whether how much they can accommodate or adjust with the consensus that is arrived by the group, and it goes on unless there is a total consensus on them, right. That is what we know as Delphi. Next is what we know as concept making. In case of concept mapping, what happens? Basically, you try to conceptualize the things. Okay. It is defined as a network of concepts consisting of nodes and links. Okay. So, suppose you are using a concept, and this concept could be defined something that could be a concrete thing or a abstract thing. Say for example, I am going to write this. I am going to use two words, chair, right, and I am going to use another word as a concept, honesty. Now, if you look at chair and honesty, both are the terms or concepts. When you are going to map this concept, both the concepts, you need certain attributes to define this, and how those attributes can be linked with these two concepts. One is abstract in nature. It is an abstract concept, while this is an concrete concept, right. Now, when it comes to defining these two concepts, that is an abstract concept and a concrete concept, you need to identify certain attributes. So, what could be the various attributes which could be used to define concepts? You can find out number of attributes. Okay. like a chair has a top, it has a back, it has an arm, right. So, we can write that. Then what else? It could have a top, a leg, okay, and it could be made of wooden, right. It could be steel, anything like that. So, you are going to use these attributes in order to define concepts. So, these are the nodes and they are linked with this, right. All of them are linked with this, and that is how we are going to define the concept. Similarly, when you are going to define an abstract concept, then it is very, very difficult, because you do not have a visual image for this kind of concept, right. So, what you do? You give certain examples. Okay. The honest person does this thing, right. Say for example, you can say he is more transparent, he is very, very objective, right. He is responsible, right. So, these could be different kind of attributes that you are going to associate with, and these are the different nodes that you are going to link with this particular concept. Okay. So, when it comes to concept mapping, it is very, very important to identify the nodes and the links that is associated with this one, okay, because this is going to show the relationship. Okay. So, I am given a simple example here, because unless the concept is defined properly, okay, you cannot go for understanding the relationship with other things and further in order to identify a problem and its solution, right. So, see there is another example that I have taken here. See, there are two people you can see here in the figure, a saint and his helper. His name is Nicholas and his name is Peter. See, if you look at the node, he is a helper of this person, right. Now, these are some of the things that is associated with this person. He lives in Spain, he also lives in Spain. So, that is how they are related. He is a helper to him, he had a birthday, so he rides a horse, has a beer. So, this person again his attributes are defined, he brings certain things, he gives it, that is present, because he is acting as a Santa Claus, right. Now, if you should see this, it shows a conceptual map, what he does, and the kind of relationship that exists between various attributes and these two people, right. That is how we go about understanding it. So, when you are going to apply this actually in the area of problem solving, so it is very, very important to conceptualize the problem first, and that is where you go for concept mapping, right. So, the first stage is, these are the different stages in concept mapping, that is preparation of project, participants, focus and schedule. Okay. Identify the participant, identify the problem, okay, and then schedule it. Then you move to next stage, that is idea generation. So, here you can go for brainstorming, what it should be, right, what do you want. Then once idea generation is done, then you go for evaluation and then you go for sorting or rating statements. So, whatever idea is generated, you go for evaluation of them, right. Say for example, when I am talking about this particular statement, that is this honesty. So, if I am going to ask experts what do you mean by honesty, so he is coming out with different kind of answers. So, once this idea is generated through brainstorming session, then what we will do, we are going to evaluate each and every node whether it is really linked with honesty or not, right. So, you are going to sort and rate each and every statement that is given over there. Then you are going to make a representation of this statement, how it is related with this one, okay. And then interpretation, it means that these are the things which could be related in a cluster, which could be related to particular concept, right. Then you are going to use it to define the concept, that is what we know as utilization. Now, another term that is used is blackboarding. Blackboarding means that you have a blackboard, okay, where people are going to write the things, and it may include three things. Basically, blackboard is nothing, is a global memory structure or database or repository, what you call, and it has a knowledge source, a blackboard and a control mechanism. Now, knowledge source is the expert, right. Blackboard, that is shown over there, like for example, there could be a blackboard in front of me, and all participants here in blackboarding are experts and having unique experience, and it could be in different domain area, right. And then each expert is going to contribute to the solution via the blackboard. It could be electronic blackboard, or it could be a manual physical blackboard, which could be used for this purpose. So, what actually happens, the space is provided for each expert on the blackboard, and then you ask these experts to represent their knowledge on the blackboard, talk about the process on the blackboard, okay, which could be used to solve a particular problem, and this continues with the help of the multiple experts unless you arrive at a solution. Okay. So, the advantage is that you have a diverse approach to solve the problem. The only thing that basically instead of a paper you are using a blackboard. This could be a common normal blackboard or electronic blackboard. Okay. And everybody share a common language for interaction, because there are experts who are going to discuss it with each other. And then you have flexible representation of information, because there could be information which could be overlapping. So, you need not write all the information all the time, right. So, this overlapping can be shown on the blackboard. See, this information has come from 3 experts, right, and then you have efficient storage and location of information, because everything can be visualized properly, okay, and then you club them, cluster them, and you can also relate all the information that is there. So, what I mean by efficient storage and location is that all the information is located in one place on the blackboard, and they could be stored using a system, okay, depending upon the kind of knowledge that is being elicited from the experts, and then you can club these information that is given over there. Okay. And then you have organized participants. What I mean by organized participation is that each and every participant is going to contribute to the process in representing their knowledge, and the important thing here is that role of the moderator. And who is going to be the moderator? It is going to be the knowledge developer. So, it is that is where you have to say as a knowledge developer that how are going to use this blackboard, or how this blackboard is going to be used by different experts, and because experts in this process are the participants are the experts here. Okay. So, you need to control all the participants, otherwise suppose you have a minimum a limited space on the blackboard. Okay. Suppose one participant or one experts want to use maximum space, then what will happen? You will not be having a space for other participants, though that creates a problem. So, that is why if you look at earlier what I discussed is that you have a knowledge source, a blackboard, and also a control mechanism. So, the control mechanism is very important. Why I am talking about control mechanism is that the role of the knowledge developer is to somehow control the flow of information and organize them on the blackboard, so that each and every expert contributes, right. Otherwise, what will happen? Some experts may be able to contribute, some experts are going to dominate in the process, other experts may not come out at all, because they do not find any space for them. So, these are some of the issues that need to be controlled by the knowledge developer. Okay. The advantage is that okay, as a knowledge developer you make sure that yes, everybody participates, I mean experts are going to participate, and everyone participates to the maximum, right. So, that everybody comes out with a solution. So, for example, what you can do in the middle of the page, suppose you are writing, okay, this is the problem. Okay. Now, you have different experts, participants, these are the different participants. Okay. And this is the blackboard. So, center of the blackboard can have the problem, and then provide them enough space, each participants, where they can approach the problem and see that how they are going to solve the problem. So, you are using diverse approaches to the problem to see that how it can be done, and once it is done, then again you continue with the same process. Process continues unless the problem is solved, because now each and every participant or expert would be able to visualize and see how others have approached the problem. So, they would learn and internalize it, and when they move to the next stage, they might use those input in order to solve the problem in a more comprehensive way. So, that is the basically advantage of using a blackboard. So, they are using a common language, they will interact among themselves and try to see that how it can be done. And then suppose you find that okay, this person is giving a better solution. So, you can go for a better flexible representation of the information, you give them more space because he is able to contribute more, he is suppose contribute less. So, you give him less space, okay, but make sure that it is organized. It is not that, and do not leave anybody in the process, that everybody contributes. Okay. So, it is a iterative approach to problem solving, okay. And iterative approach is always better, because it is much more structured, and then at the end of the day you will be able to solve the problem, and that is how we continue with this. Thank you very much.